all leads back to control. The government controls what we eat. They control what we think. They control what we feel. And then we wake up one day and be like, damn, I got...
But isn't that American dream? That American dream is because there's more people that live that type of fucking American reality. But isn't that American dream? That American dream is because there's more people that live that type of fucking American reality. But isn't that American dream? That American dream is because there's more people that live that type of fucking American reality.
QAnon, my futon, hold it up and smoke it. Transgression, a progression of a war we ain't asked for. Transgression, a progression of a war we ain't asked for. It's madness, yo. All the things that we could talk about.
Call it.
But let's talk about these urban circumstances real quick.
And basically, it's the
we got this.
So
revolutionary.
Frosty hand. Muhammad is the fame's name, forever stand.
Standing on royal fusing of justice for the few, ridiculed by the pale terrorists bent on genocidal obsession, rooted in fear of neglection and abandonment, fueled by nightmares of ancestors' jealous.
because at the end of the day, I still want to be able to I don't dislike George Washington.
The kind of friends I think our friends should be like my friends. My friends are the kind of friends I think everyone needs. My friends see the things at times I don't see. My friends hate the police.
What has changed?
Are deemed the criminals, and the blacks are deemed the criminals.
Shut up and help.
Reflection ain't nothing but the inner child trying to see you. You gonna look? You gonna pick up that book?
Lord, keep me far from the faith. Guide me through night and day. Teach me your ways. Show me the righteous way to sway. Lord, can you teach me, please? Show me the way, I'd say. Grand risings and happy Valentine's Day. Welcome back to another episode of The Urban Conservative with Chaz Neal. We're excited to have you join us on this journey of thoughtful discourse and community engagement. The Urban Conservative is proudly sponsored by the Leon Block Network, an organization committed to promoting transparency, truth, and accountability in our media landscape. Here at The Urban Conservative, our mission remains steadfast: to bring you the latest news directly from the streets, addressing critical topics such as gun violence, crime, politics, and perhaps most importantly, exploring solutions to the profound challenges our communities face. As we embark on this third season, the focus is clear. It's time to actively contribute to the transformation of our communities for the better. How can we achieve this? The answer lies in a multifaceted approach that starts with reconnecting with our core family values. Strengthening our sense of community is paramount. Fostering bonds that transcend the barriers that often divide us. Moreover, it involves embracing our foundational roots, recognizing the historical and cultural threads that weave through the fabric of our society. In this season, we're calling for more than words. We seek action. It's a plea to move beyond mere rhetoric and engage in tangible, impactful initiatives that contribute to positive change. The time for empty words has passed. Now more than ever, we need to put our convictions into action. Together, united by a common purpose, we can make a substantial and lasting difference in the well-being of our communities. So join us on this journey as we explore not only the challenges, but also the opportunities for growth and progress. Together, let's turn our shared vision for stronger, safer, and more connected communities into a reality. Thank you for being a part of the Urban Conservative with Chaz Neal, a platform dedicated to fostering change and making a positive impact on the world around us. Shut up and help. Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. How's everybody doing this morning on this beautiful, beautiful, beautiful Wednesday, February 14th morning? I wanted to start off this morning with history. It's Black History Month, and in the shadows of America's deceitful narrative, we find the history they desperately want to silence. The truth etched on this very soil, not across distant seas in Africa. They weave a web of lies, but we, the enlightened, see through their charade. Our history, woven into the fabric of this land, speaks of struggles and resilience. The Southern accent we carry echoes the trials faced in the South, a testament to the endurance of our people. They manipulate the narrative, obscuring the reality that we are the descendants of those who endured the brutality on American soil. They perpetuate the myth that our roots lie across the ocean, but we reject their false tales. Our roots run deep in the soil of this nation, soaked with the blood, sweat, and tears of our ancestors. They fear the power in our knowledge, so they attempt to suppress the real truth of Black history. We, the conscious ones, understand the importance of unraveling the hidden chapters of our past. They wish to confine us to a narrow narrative, but we refuse to be confined. Let us stand united, armed with the truth, as we retain our history from the clutches of deception. The real narrative is ours to tell, and we shall not be silenced. I wanted to thank a follower. I was gonna go a whole nother direction this morning with my Black History moment, but after seeing what she sent me, it just, to me, and it really went with the topic of today, because targeting justice, and I'm really going to talk about unmasking the corporate spy program in Minneapolis. And I'm going to talk about how that deals with politics, capitalism, corporate, and how they actually write legislation and policies directed at Black and brown bodies, and how people rise through the ladder of politics through the wrongful convictions, through the determinant of Black people. But first, I want to play this video, and again, I want to thank this follower. They know who they are. I'm not going to put them out there. I say thank you because you keep me on my toes. And I know I don't always answer the phone for you, and I do apologize. But I am grateful for the information and the knowledge that you give me on the daily. I do really, 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 really appreciate that. And I wish there was more people that were like you, that want to put the truth out there, that want to actually help our community, that actually want to better not only your family, but everybody's family. And let me shut up and stop venting. I guess it's not really venting, it's more of showing appreciation. But I'm gonna play this video real quick. It's about, I don't even know how long it is actually, but it's really, really eye-opening. So let me be quiet. Oh, where's the sound at? Here we go. Of course. I suck at this. All right, hold up. I gotta reshare the screen. I don't know why it's not.
Live on spits with a fire beneath it and turn us and roast us until we dehydrated. And they pick up pieces of the bodies.
We started over.
And hundreds of whites would be standing taking pictures with a body piece in their hand. They have the pictures, show the pictures in the book. And they say, just get over that? You don't get over that. You have to move on. You have to live your life. You have to grow. You have to accomplish. You cannot use excuses. But that is in spite of your history. I'm talking about children, women, male adults, lynched. And then there's to put us alive on spits with a fire beneath it and turn us and roast us until we dehydrated. And they pick up pieces of the bodies, and hundreds of whites will be standing and taking pictures with a body piece in their hand. They have the pictures, they show the pictures in the book.
I want people to really think about what you just seen and what you just heard, because I'm going to show you something else before I get into targeting justice, and it has to do with Black Americans past, and it has to do with our history. It has to actually do with Valentine's Day too, as well. So I want people to really to see this. This is, I'm only going to play a couple minutes, but this is about Valentine's Day cards and how they stereotyped Black people, not just Black people. What's up?
Thank you. I've been sitting here because I'm pretty sure you're probably going to air the same video, or if not similar to the one that I saw. And the whole time here on this episode, I've been searching for the video explaining that, because I was going to bring that up if you didn't. So thank you for being on par, because I'm a little bittersweet about this myself. And I think, and I just was made aware of this like this week. So
right.
I'm learning myself, but I find this very striking, and I wonder how many other people know.
You know, and that's the reason why I honestly am bringing it up this morning, for the simple fact of I don't honestly feel like a lot of people actually know our past and know our history, because I see a lot of narratives. I see a lot of misinformation, misleading people, instead of just telling us the raw truth, because they put it into a form of, you know, people are talking about, we talked about David Lucas yesterday and say Sir Major, but yet when white people did it, it was all fine and dandy.
Yeah,
because they sold it to us, and not even just because we were told so much about the KKK, but we're not really told about everything else that went along with history. And that's what this video is really showing people. And I'm only going to play like 3 or 4 minutes, but I want people to see this because it's really eye-opening.
Note the eugenics message in 11 children. A baby mammy in training, overpowering the frightened skinny boy. Another young mammy in the making accuses her husband of being lazy. Another young mammy in the making accuses her husband of being lazy. N-word, a play on words, coon trees possum, naming black men as coons and implying their animal nature. Black man is gorilla, France. You don't want none of my lip, hey? You don't want none of my lip, hey? The answer to this ugly coon who thinks he's a civilized gentleman is, of course, no, I would not want your ugly face. Black man is a savage, a cannibal. Coon with razor, his eye is on Mammy's big butt. Coon with razor, his eye is on Mammy's big butt. Again, a multiple slur. Black men are irresponsible, dangerous, sexually lascivious, and black women have ugly faces and large buttocks. Coons with uncontrollable appetites for chicken and woman as chicken. Discover these young men are avoiding work in the cotton fields, implying they are lazy. Happy, irresponsible young coons gamble away their lives, on their way to even more criminal behavior. A play on words for criminal behavior by young black men. Out on bail, a play on words, implying the young black man's natural condition is to be in jail or out on bail, and this child is already in jail. Most criminal acts depicted are petty theft, chickens and watermelons, by children. Coon dreaming of free chicken. Coon, the black man as a chicken thief. Irresponsible fighting among young men, N-word, compared with gentility of patriotic whites, 1901. Coons can, if uncontrolled, revert to their true state, African primitive savagery. If kept busy at manual labor and fed with watermelon, they will be the happiest people on earth. Daunt. And happily play the banjo. Why watermelons? A symbol of simple contentment. Note, coon becomes an edible fruit. In his proper place as servant, the black man is a happy, smiling caricature, not a man. Double stereotype. A Scottish man resents tipping the grinning, dehumanized black coons who serve him. Coon Chicken Inn. Yes, a real restaurant chain, Portland, Seattle, and so.
You know what's crazy? Because I looked this shit up, and goddamn.
Yeah, I was about to do the same because okay, so the video I saw didn't like it was a more narrated type of piece, right? It was a guy talking about the different postcards and videos he found. So one he found was a commercial from like the 1920s. So it was in black and white, but it still was very, very much like today of how we style our commercials. So you had the little graphics and stuff in it, but it was a bunch of different gifts for Valentine's Day. And this was the start of commercializing Valentine's Day, right? They started it with cards reminiscent of this, but geared towards Valentine's Day. So like you had a little black girl saying, I'm going to eat you for dinner. You had like a little something like that. You had like a little tribal type of person, just real messed up stuff that they were creating and perpetuating racist stereotypes through these postcards. And it's just okay. It's acceptable. And it's crazy. Like, I like the introduction that you put of utilizing how, you know, especially during the South and, you know, for example, the Bloody Summer, when they lynched us like crazy and they would take body parts and roast them and people would take them home for souvenirs and take pictures and stuff. They actually put these things in postcards and stuff too.
And
so this,
go ahead. That's what, go ahead.
Well, I just feel like this stuff has compounded over the years and one thing has led to another, which led to another. And that's why we have what we have today. It's just really, really buried, but it's there.
Right. And that's, you know, what's crazy. And I'm glad that, you know, the lady who sent me this, I was kind of on the same page this morning with it, because I think if people fully understood our history and how much what shit they hide or they conceal, I guess is the better word to put it. They you know, they keep away secretly, and I think that is a big issue, especially when it comes to our youth and why we see the legislation and the policies that we're seeing, but people don't understand the players involved.
Well, I feel like when the whole CRT thing became a big issue, you
Right.
had white people literally saying that they did not want their kids to ever feel bad in school learning about their history, our shared history.
Right.
Not to say black people in ancient times and we pillaged and we raped and we subjugated and we colonized areas in a sense too. All races are not exempt from it, but we're talking about the current age and how things have constantly been derived from a point of, like, for example, this transatlantic slave trade and everything that's derived from that. We're not exempt from that. It was just 100 years ago that they started making these racist postcards. We're not exempt from that.
Right. And it was crazy. It's not, let's not even say 100, because honestly, at the end of the day, they stopped this in the 40s.
Let's say the 60s, just to give
right. We'll even go take it as far as that, because I'm sure there's part of history that we're not being exposed to during the era, because I can only find things going back of, like you said, like during the 60s, but like it was predominantly exploited, I guess we'll call it, during the 1880s up until we'll go, you know what I'm saying, like 1940s, of when people started to find it disgusting, I guess to say, and people stopped mainstreaming it, but it didn't go away, and it's still here today. And that's what, I'm glad that I got sent that, because I literally want to show people throughout history of why we are where we're at today when it comes to policing, when it comes to, legislation, when it comes to even our political parties, because neither side they like to point the finger, but at the end of the day, neither one of them actually likes to look in the mirror and correct the problems that they started. Instead of, they just like to point the finger, oh, they're worse than us, instead of just actually, let's just fix the goddamn problem.
Right. My hometown, Coatesville, Pennsylvania. Most people, if you're born and raised in Coatesville, your black generation's deep, right? And so we all know the story of Hezekiah Walker. And I'm not going to get into the details. Y'all can Google and read the full story for yourself. But long story short, people were outraged because this was in the North at a time when so many people across the South were getting lynched, but it still happened in the North, just not as much. But this man was lynched, burned alive, and his body was picked apart, and people kept souvenirs. And I just wonder how many people still have those souvenirs sitting around. It wasn't that long ago. And that, for me, that's proof of that.
Right. No,
these items are still here. And if they're still here, not only are they in the conscious of people's minds, but it means that there's still things that we have to deal with, which means that we need to learn about this stuff in school.
Stuff they're not teaching us. So I'm about to play just a couple more, about another minute into this, so about a minute and a half.
Salt Lake City. Whites invented a darky preacher to warn blacks against drinking, fighting, gambling, gossip, and trying to pass as white. Black children become pickaninnies. Black children become pickaninnies. Here, they are chocolate candies, morsels to devour. Little girls are also chickens to be eaten up sexually. both adults and children, sexual, pregnant and ignorant. Black children share watermelon and an implied romance. Dark-skinned pickaninnies, a sexualized boy and girl, happily engulfed in watermelon and cotton. Note they are also beheaded. Pickaninnies with bare butts were a popular theme, suggesting that children were undressed, like animals, and sexually available. Pickaninny, bare butt, raggedy clothes, unsuited to be a soldier. Black children are sexualized, with heart-shaped bare butts. Pickaninnies, naked and sex-crazed. Children are sexualized. Children are sexualized.
Yeah, I will send that video to you, Mike. It's it's actually a presentation that excuse me, a girl did for college in 2020. I found it very breathtaking, and there's actually another link that takes you to Valentine's Day cards and actual postcards that they used from that era. It included pictures of Shirley Temple in blackface, you know, a lot of blackface shows, and there was something else that I can't pronounce the word, but I knew about a lot of it from going into Red Wings history of these shows they used to do, and it just dumbfounded me how people actually paid to go see people dressed like black people.
Yep.
And I'd be like, what the fuck? But they don't even like us.
Yo, do you are you aware of like the Dutch, how they have a huge parade every year around for like, it has something to do with Christmas, but they all dress up in blackface and parade through the streets?
I did
Yeah.
see something about that, I think in like 2021, just recently within the last couple of years.
They think it's okay when people, you
Right.
know, challenge them about it. Like, you know, don't you think that that's racist? They defend it and they say it's like a part of their national identity. But imagine being a black person, which there are black people in the Netherlands, walking down the street and then
Right.
you just see a mass parade of people dressed in blackface. Don't you find that offensive? A little off topic, but yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy.
It
And
is
I
crazy
think,
as hell.
imagine if we were bombarded with that here in America. And the thing is, if more Americans were educated on this, that the fact that this is still happening in 2024 in an entire country and they think it's okay, we're not far removed from these postcards.
Right. And it's just crazy because how they used to use, you know, Bugs Bunny, Disney,
Right.
and this, it's crazy because it's so stereotypical. And that's why I love the fact that, you know, people are paying attention and want others to start reconnecting, or not even reconnecting, but connecting the dots between our past into what's going on today, because certain people out there do want others to pay attention because their family is being affected by things that if we united, we could stop. And the more education that we do and going back and knowing where we came from will make us stronger going forward. And that's why they got rid of Martin. You know what I'm saying?
If people had the level of organization, education, and capacity to come together in solidarity like we do for the Palestinian people, like for the black people and foundational black Americans and descendants of the enslaved in America, we would have a full campaign like to really get somewhere and tell the world, like, you know, but we don't, it's a lot of disorganization.
Exactly.
And sometimes it makes me a little bitter, but I'm also admiring it because that is what we're witnessing right now. Everyone standing up and coming together for Palestinians is a blueprint of what it should be like for all of us to get equality for all of our communities, especially. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say exactly. Like, I just wish people would see the shit for what it really is, man, instead of taking it into further context than what it really is, man, and making it into something that it's not, so that we get deflected and distracted.
That's one thing I love about Malcolm is like, he didn't say, oh, well, that's their battle. He went over there, looked at what's going on with them, compared it to what's going on here, and said, there are brothers and sisters, they going through it too. We can learn from each other because we can.
Right.
And that's what makes us in our group of people in our Black community stronger. If we take lessons and take heed to, for example, what's going on there, all the weapons of mass destruction that don't exist anywhere else in the world. They're testing them out on Palestinians. Guess where they're going to turn that attention to next when they're done with them?
Right. Oh, definitely agree, man. And I wish people would just, I don't even know anymore. I do, but I want to educate.
Right. No, let me rephrase, because I love what you're doing here. And the way that you're presenting this is captivating, because we have to find a way to, people love to be entertained these days, right?
Exactly.
But it doesn't mean that they can't be educated through entertainment. And so I love the way that you're showing the visuals and talking about bringing people through the history of how things have gradually changed, but it's still the same at the same time. So even though, like, you on point, bro.
Oh, and I wish, I don't want to, and that's what's crazy, because people be like, do I like beefing with individuals? And I'm like, I don't call it beefing. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't, because
you're not.
Right. To me, it's calling out things that I see wrong of getting in the way from us actually getting changed.
Right. And you're doing what you need to do. And if that wasn't the case, you wouldn't have to do that. You would be steadily, completely focused on what needs to be done. But this stuff, like what you're talking about, gets in the way. And so it has to get handled and done. It doesn't make you someone that's combatant or a beefer. You're not.
Right. So I hope people enjoy this little history lesson. I want to take a quick break real quick, and I'm going to set up targeting justice. And I want to talk about that. And I think people are going to see what I'm meaning about pyramid and Ponzi, and how corporations and how these nonprofits all kind of link a little bit. So trying to find something that's about a minute and a half. All right, here you guys go. I'll be right back. We'll be right back.
Isn't a life of passion really what we all want to aspire to have, to live for? Life of passion, life of passion, life of passion. Life of passion, the one that we should all These are the kind of questions that I have. These are the kind of questions that I have. These are the kind of questions that I have. These are the kind of questions that I have.
Deprogramming takes months. Deprogramming takes months.
These are the kind of questions that I have.
Deprogramming takes months.
These are the kind of questions that I have.
Deprogramming takes months.
Ignorance is bliss. Ignorance is bliss.
Ignorance is bliss. Ignorance is anxiety is future. Anxiety is future. Anxiety is future. D is future. D is future. Depression is past. Depression is past. Depression is past. Past.
Hey y'all, so we are back. Like I said before we left for the little break, that I wanted to today talk about targeting justice. And what I meant by that is unmasking the corporate spy program in Minneapolis. And I know people don't maybe understand what I am talking about, and that's why we are going to discuss that today. I found a little video that I want people to watch with me, and you will see things that are what I'm, I guess, pertaining to and what we're going to talk about today better than what I can really break down, because it's when you see it in person, when you see it for yourself, it's just there's no hiding or denying it. So it's about 3 minutes long. So, and it's brought to you by the People Power Podcast. Oh yeah, I think I did this one.
Bright and brilliant, despite their mental illness, quite resilient. Fight with wit and right, this real shit, volatility. Low civility, don't let vulnerability lower your agility. This moment is pivotal, crucial, critical. Our opponent is intentional, brutally criminal. To be truthful, our response has been useful and pitiful. Community defense happens when we control the city. The open perversity, thirstily worshiping emergencies, a constant state of urgency. Crisis creates currency, mass murder and the mayhem, massacres and strife, manufacturing the chaos. The fact just racist, right? Merchants peddle weaponry and sell it to all sides. No guarantee, will no tranquility after we all die. Hostility, rage and anger killing me. They commit atrocities, plausible deniability. We must achieve the impossible, believe in our abilities. I'ma look to you and me. Now Hollywood or Hillary, politicians and police can't keep in bourgeoisie. Liberation's closer than you think, but y'all ain't really feeling me. It's time to think fast, the movement. Learn lessons from our past, the movement. Organize the class, the movement. Solidarity that lasts, the movement. Hey yo, it's time to think fast, the movement. Learn lessons from our past, the movement. Organize the class, the movement. I'm posted on the radius, doing surveillance with my crew. Through the phone and from the drone, they spy on me and you. Oh, you think you cool? They spying on you too. I know you think I'm a fool, but they spying on you too. So what you gonna do? What we gonna do? What you gonna do? What we gonna do? It's time to think fast, the movement. Learn lessons from our past, the movement. Organize the class, the movement. Solidarity at last, the movement. Hey yo, it's time to think fast, the movement. Learn lessons from our past, the movement. Organize the class, the movement.
So there is actually a report out there that I feel people definitely need to watch. And John Till, I know that you said that, you know, something about, you know, Jim Crow. And what people didn't even understand is, yeah, we didn't have Jim Crow laws up here, but there was unspoken Jim Crow laws.
Yeah. To me, it was Jim Crow, just a different kind of, it was different up here. I still call it Jim Crow though.
See, in Minnesota, we call it Minnesota nice.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? That's where, you know, because it's that type where people, they can deal with you, but then behind your back, they're like, Oh, yeah, we don't really fuck with them. You know what I'm saying? They're like all nicey. Oh, we love black people, but then get around everybody else. Man, I can't stand them niggas. Them
Can I
days.
ask you?
Yep.
Is it Target? Is that Target's based in Minneapolis, right?
Yes, sir. Downtown.
So is that why I saw something about it got it has unprecedented power?
Oh yeah, man, and that's what I'm gonna get into because as you've seen here in this video, that Target and Amy Klobuchar says this out of her own mouth that literally Target paid for an attorney, a paralegal for her office, and this is Target has and this is another thing that I wanted to get into because it has a lot to do with the downtown improvement district, right? And how their policies, because they do a lot of operations like Operation Endeavor, Operation Safe Cities, Safe Streets, whatever they want to call them. And they push so much legislation through, like people don't even realize we have drones in Minneapolis coming this year. Drones that are going to be flying in the air. Because people don't understand is they're going to use Minneapolis right now as a starting point for a lot of technology, AI,
or police
type of policing, right? Because we don't have the officers, right? So how do you still have policing without having actual police officers?
It's the equivalent of the. It's just like the robots that are in New York City that go around and patrol the streets in New York City, and they can shoot on command. So I mean, we're gonna see different policing tactics rolled out all across the country, and I hate to connect it back, but it's being tested on right in front of our eyes for a genocide. And again, where do you think that attention is going to go next? They've already laid the groundwork. They're Cop City, and they're building replicas of that all across the nation.
Oh, and what's
morbid?
What's crazy is they're making, for me, I see a whole nother side of this because I see it as where they want to make it where they're always able to watch us while de-arming us, because people don't even understand the laws that they're trying to make here in Minnesota when it comes to our Second Amendment too, because of the simple fact of most black people don't even understand their Second Amendment.
Right.
You get what I'm saying? Because we don't. So when they write these laws where they aim it to look a certain type of way, but in all honesty, it hurts us.
So going back to this, this piece, it was I saw a part that it was comparing it to what China did with the Uyghurs and how it picked up from this this thing that Minneapolis and Minnesota carried out. So explain to me what it was that they did that made a huge difference in youth in the improvement district downtown that you're speaking about.
That has improved it.
Well, you said the improvement district, right?
Yeah.
So it said something about
a committee. There's a task force committee. Damn, I wasn't even trying to get in that deep with it because I'm gonna bring Robert back on soon. Okay. And I just kind of wanted to give an appetizer with this because I already know, you can already see he in the comments like a motherfucker. Because of the players that are involved in this. And that's what I kind of really wanted to talk about more of today, was talking about not getting so more in depth, because I'm not good at explaining that. That's Robert's forte. So I kind of just wanted to get into more of the players involved and where they sit politically, where they sat politically, and where that shit connects today, and even the things that Target is still attempting to do, and how they make it look a certain way to us, when all honesty, the way that they write it up, it infringes on our constitutional rights. But because we don't understand that, we don't give a fuck. And that's what I'm really starting to notice, is that when people don't understand something, they don't care. Because I want to make it where these people are uncomfortable to even go out and go grocery shopping or go anywhere, because that's the way that it should feel for them, because the way it is in our communities, and they're the problem for it. They shouldn't be able to do anything peacefully.
That part.
You know what I'm saying? Right. And that's the one crazy thing and about it is, we all say is, especially I can say this in Minneapolis, they're defunding the police, but not the way everybody thought they were going to do it. Abolishing, not defunding, abolishing it, right? It's just the only way they're doing it is because of legislation. The fact that nobody wants to come and work in Minneapolis, for the simple fact of, you do anything wrong, you're being scrutinized right now. You're being scrutinized, just like, it's crazy because, and I was going to do a story on this on Friday, is the second person in charge of the BCA is being sued for excessive use of force. And I'm like, wait, what? But then when you find out who the Hennepin County attorney was who didn't press charges, Mike Freeman, who also is a part of this targeting justice. And when it comes to Target, because Amy Klobuchar wasn't the only Hennepin County attorney that got money or got power and influence from Target. Right. Because there's a whole lot of people that play with that. Mayor Arthur T. Ryback, who is now the CEO, president of the Minneapolis, one of the biggest nonprofit foundations in Minnesota. Then you have Alicia Smith, who until just recently last year was on the Hennepin County, I think it was Minneapolis Park and Rec Board, which also has a lot of money, a big budget, and was able to allocate money in certain areas. And so it just, people got to understand the connections and why it is the way that it is. And once you start to see that, you'll see the church, the black churches, you'll see people that sit on school boards, park boards, board estimation and taxation boards, and they all have these connections, and they all pat each other on the back, and what I mean, or not pat, but rub each other on the back.
Yep.
So because they all take care of each other, and that's what I meant by a pyramid. Because if you got people sitting in different parts, that's how you make that work, that glove work. Because if everybody's on the same agenda and you have everybody where you need them to be, boom, bam. How do you think Minnesota's getting all this legislation passed so quick? Because we have the trifecta. We're able to push this shit through committees because the Democrats are right now are the majority. So any vote that they do, they're always going to be outnumbered because there's more of them in the committees. I really start to notice that already this year, like I did last year, of when it comes time to vote and the Republicans put one up, they all vote yay. And then you look at the Democrats, they all vote no. But then a Democrat puts one up. And if it's something that the Republicans agree with or not agree with, they'll vote yay. But it's really a lot of bills last year and even this year that have been through committees they're not bipartisan. It's one party that is getting a lot of what the things that they feel. I feel like you only have one part of, not even one part. I feel like it's 15% of Minnesota is being listened to when it comes to what's being brought for legislation. Because they're taking one or two, maybe three incidents and turn it into something bigger than what it needs to be. While you have a forest fire that you just want to ignore and just want to keep on, keep on throwing water, but yet it's spreading, and you're not trying to. I just learned this on Fire Country too. They build like them little fire digs, so it doesn't spread. It'll go into it'll stop right there. The fire won't go. I don't know. It's some kind of line. They call it a fire line or something. But I feel like they don't want to do that. They just, instead of doing things that they know will stop the fire from spreading, they just allow it to spread instead of putting it out. And that's just what I want to show, because there's a lot of names, and it just baffles. Fuck that. It shouldn't even baffle people anymore. It still does though, because I see that, people say, oh, money sucks. Man, hell no, it don't. You get more money, it's more problems. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And I say that for a reason. Look at all the money we've gotten since COVID for different issues. Homelessness, for back rent, for, food. And yet we're still in one of the worst crises America has ever seen. It's because we choose to ignore it instead of confronting it. Because that's all you see on social media. Oh, I feel bad for these people. Why do you feel bad but yet don't want to do anything? Because just donating $20, $25 to some organization that the money probably doesn't even hit the ground isn't gonna help. We're past that shit. It's like, what more do we have to see that money doesn't solve every issue? I really wonder that, because when I see these bills that are coming up, right, and that's what really scares me too, is if we don't have people that come out and vote, and I'm not talking about going to vote for Trump. I'm talking about voting for Hennepin County attorney. I'm talking about voting for your city council, right? Your Congress, your state legislator, because those are the type of people that matter. Not saying that the president doesn't, it does, but the people that are locally that make laws and ordinances, those people matter more. You should really care where their agenda and their interests are and what matters more to them. Because if people would do their research, they would see certain people are bought and paid for and be like, why are we listening to them? Because I honestly don't understand why people in the Black community in North Minneapolis do not look at their leaders, their so-called community leaders, really funny and wonder why they don't get no change. Because all you see is money thrown at them. Just like you seen, what's today, Wednesday, Monday at the Minneapolis City Council, where they just gave them $4.2 more million for violence interruption, but yet crime this year is up. Make it make sense to me. So we're literally there, but the problem for me there is there's no metrics. There's no of showing what failure or success looks like. And that's the problem, because they don't ever want to talk about the numbers. They'll just be like, oh, this, and this. But don't nobody want to talk about how this past weekend, there was so much this weekend. Holy Lord. There was over 20 carjackings in one day. You literally got kids riding around with Pooh Shiesty masks. With Shiesty, I ain't gonna say Pooh Shiesty, my bad, Pooh. Shiesty mask. And it's crazy as hell. Like, you literally got them writing legislation in certain cities about them not being able to wear a ski mask. It's a crime.
That's crazy.
Right. And I think that's in Philadelphia, if I'm not mistaken. Actually,
you are correct.
I forgot about that shit. Yeah. This shit's insane to me. It's
I
even like
believe
what's
it's
going
just
on.
for I believe it's just for downtown, but still,
Is it just
like,
for downtown?
I believe it is just for Center City. And
Okay.
like just like yeah, you can't have a ski mask on the streets or in businesses, but like if you're in Northeast or you're in West, I believe you're safe. And that's because there were mass
Probably.
amounts of youth. They would literally be crowds of like 2,000 minors just crowding the streets out of nowhere. They would just bombard the streets in Center City, and then they would just demolish businesses. They would just go in and smash
Right.
windows, and they do like smash and grabs. There was like this one video that went
There was a
viral
bunch.
in Northeast Philly. I don't know, y'all don't have Wawas out there, but there was a Wawa that it was like 100 youth just stormed the Wawa, grabbed whatever they want, and ran. And I'm not saying just like 10, 15 kids. It was like 75 to 100 kids stormed one Wawa. So none of these employees could do anything. And y'all go look it up. And so on that note, off the backs of stuff like that and the stuff that they've been doing in Center City, just like imagine you getting off of work.
So let me ask
one
you
of the
a question,
office buildings. You come out on the street, you see 2,000 kids.
What is the
and some of them start beating you
demographics
up.
of Center
Happens
City?
to be mostly black kids.
Right.
Because
No, that's
Philly is
just the
mostly
one
black.
thing that trips me out. Right. That's the one thing that I wanted to
Yeah.
I wanted to,
It's
they write it towards us.
Yes, but they're able to justify it a certain way.
Right, a
because
certain
of-
way.
Right.
They're able to word it.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Without making it, because they word it towards a certain crowd. I guess let's put it that way. They put it towards a certain crowd, because let me share this page and let me see if you can see it, bro. If you can read it. I don't want to claim this offer. Oh, but I can't really go. It won't let me get off of that.
If you pinch the screen, so see if I can see it. And if you could just scroll up and down. Like zoom in.
Yeah, I was going the wrong way.
There we
it
go.
just but it does. I can't get rid of this.
Yeah, but we can at least see a sliver.
Okay, because here is some. I don't know how long this is. Oh, it's 32 minutes. I should have probably listened to some. But it's a story about Target. Actually, let's just play it for a minute. Let's see what it gets into.
Mm-hmm.
It's Bloomberg. So it's the big take, the Target, the police, and the damage done.
The rise of the Black Lives Matter movement, the company began quietly backing away from its public safety programs. It stopped funding Safe City in 2015, and last year, 5 days after Floyd's death, scrubbed its community and store safety webpage of any mention of the trademarked name it had used to promote its law enforcement initiatives for the past 25 years, Target and Blue. Tony Heredia, Target's vice president for compliance, ethics, and corporate security, says that ending Safe City funding had nothing to do with race, but was prompted by internal assessments that showed the program wasn't meeting Target's goal, as well as other considerations. The company never intended to be the perpetual funder of Safe City programs across the U.S., he says, and wanted to focus its philanthropic efforts on other public-private partnerships and community engagement initiatives. A spokeswoman says nobody at the company recalls Target's involvement with the city attorney's office on geographic restrictions, but nonetheless, the company doesn't support their use. She says Target received questions about its Target and Blue program after Floyd's death and removed the trademark from its website because it was inaccurate and out of date. Our goal is to create safe environments for all, and to do this, we invest in a variety of tools, technology, programs, and partnerships, the spokeswoman said in a written statement. We understand the concerns that have been raised about law enforcement and support the calls for holistic change in policing. Former Minneapolis Mayor R.T. Ryback, who oversaw the introduction of the Safe City program in the city, says Target always had a holistic way of looking at public safety. Ryback is now president and CEO of the Minneapolis Foundation, which has received project funding from Target. The biggest difference between then and now, he says, is that so many of us have come to a recognition that what we thought was helping had a dramatic negative impact on people of color. Alicia Smith, executive director of the Corcoran Neighborhood Organization in South Minneapolis, has advised Target since last summer on community relations. She says Target shouldn't use off-duty cops to prevent shoplifting and other crimes at the East Lake Street store, and instead should bring in community groups to address people's needs without criminalizing them. But she says the company is moving in the right direction. Target is reevaluating and doing some deep thinking, and recognizing they certainly have contributed a lot of harm, Smith says. You can't undo the harm, but you can stop perpetuating it. In Minneapolis, Target is a ubiquitous and powerful presence. It's one of the largest employers in the city, and its name and bullseye logo are attached to sports stadiums, cultural institutions, and a wide range of public events. The company's history dates to 1902, when a banker named George Draper Dayton bought a dry goods store in the city and built a chain of upscale department stores. The family became known for its philanthropic generosity. Mark Dayton, a great-grandson of Target's founder, was Minnesota's Democratic governor from 2011 to 2019. Jim Rowader, a longtime Target executive, is now the Minneapolis city attorney. The Daytons opened Target in 1962 as a suburban discount complement to its urban showpieces. Target gradually became the largest part of the organization, and the Dayton family's philanthropy was channeled through the Target Foundation. By the turn of the millennium, as Minneapolis fought stubborn inner-city crime, the foundation adopted a new beneficiary, the police. Always a prodigious user of technology and data, Target has one of the most sophisticated security departments among retailers anywhere. By the 1990s, it had become an early adopter of surveillance cameras in its stores to combat organized retail theft, in part because of the forward thinking of a security executive named King Rogers. He learned that in places with other crime problems to worry about, it wasn't easy to persuade cops to care about shoplifters. So Rogers built cases internally to make it simple for cops and prosecutors to pursue defendants. Target collected video evidence of shoplifters in the act, interviewed them on tape, and delivered the evidence to law enforcement. What they were doing was essentially the police work that the police didn't have the time or incentive to do, says Richard Hollinger, an expert in retail crime and professor emeritus at the Department of Sociology and Criminology and Law at the University of Florida. At home, Target wooed cops in the winter with food and drinks in warming huts in its parking lots. For several years, the company funded a Hennepin County prosecutor to pursue repeat property crime offenders. Nationally, it introduced Target and Blue, which provided police with grants to buy cameras and other equipment. It sponsored national night out parties to bring cops and communities together, and the Shop with a Cop program for police officers to take underprivileged kids holiday shopping at Target stores. In 2001, after Rogers retired, Target hired a former FBI agent named Brad Brecky to lead its asset protection efforts. Brecky oversaw the construction of a network of forensics labs that could enhance video evidence, repair damaged audio recordings, and process fingerprints. Police departments sometimes use them to help investigate violent felonies, assistance Target provides pro bono. The company's methods and technologies were featured in an interactive exhibit called Target Take the Case at the National Law Enforcement Museum in Washington. Under Brecky, Target stores acquired ever more sophisticated video surveillance systems. Today, as cameras watch over stores, video and security analysts at regional investigation centers can surveil individual shoppers as they move from aisle to aisle. A Target team in Bengaluru, India, crunches data that can yield reports on loss trends for US-based security investigators. The company's video analytics experts have built and patented algorithms that can ascertain whether an individual shopper is displaying the behavioral characteristics of.
No, and what's crazy is I just want to read something to y'all quick, because I know that was a lot that just came out there. That really I want people to understand is that the SafeZone, or the Safe City program, was launched by the mayor, R.T. Ryback, right? And the data that they used, and I will put this in the chat, I will put this in the comments, because it shows the statistics, is that 3% of white people were arrested during this, and then the rest were 28% Black and 27% Native Americans. So this was predominantly a Black and brown operation. And it's crazy because Amy Klobuchar says some really eye-opening statements in this. And in 2006, when she was interviewed by the Washington Post, a notable and recognizable and honorable media outlet, she told them that Target Corporation had paid for at least one attorney and a paralegal in her office. There were huge strings attached when we received the funding for our new staff, and we were expected to routinely communicate how the money was used and what kind of results we gained, according to Klobuchar. The prosecutor went from 3 repeat criminal convictions a year to more than 90 convictions a year after Target stepped and demanded results, the Post reported. In 2006, rumors spread that Target was considering moving its headquarters. That wasn't a rumor. That was actually true that Target was going to move. And then this is what happens. Downtown to the suburbs. For 2 decades, Target has been the biggest employer in downtown Minneapolis, which hosts both its flagship retail location and its headquarters. If Target were to move out, as they always threaten to do, it would be a major failure for any mayor, costing Minneapolis nearly 10,000 jobs.
Right.
That same year, Target hosted a downtown safety summit with city, county, local law enforcement, and downtown business stakeholders. Now, from my understanding, and Robert, if you're still watching, isn't this where the downtown improvement district and all these other and I'm sure it goes even further back than this, but isn't that where they started these little task force like the downtown improvement district? Because they do a lot of these things because of the fact that if they have certain employers leave downtown, there goes that business, because Target is one of the, I mean, you go anywhere downtown Minneapolis and you see Target, which has at least about 3-4 city blocks. So I could only imagine. And then when you look at the board of directors or the committee members for like the downtown improvement district or the downtown council, it's all people or corporations that have business interests in downtown and do not want to lose money and will do anything and everything to make sure that they don't lose money. Right. No. That's why they freak out if anything happens downtown. That's why they're in such a shit show, or in shambles, Mayor Frey, whatever the hell you want to call them, and certain council members, for the simple fact that downtown is not what it used to be. You don't have the same flow of people. There's not. That's why you have these, when they have Operation Endeavor, you've seen, so basically what Operation Endeavor was to make it seem like there was police presence without a police presence. So they literally put cars on damn near every corner downtown. And it was just wild as hell to me how they were just putting cop cars with lights on damn near every corner downtown. And I'm like, what does that really solve? But then I thought about it, because when you seen the guy who was our Hennepin County public safety commissioner, Alexander, can't even think of his name now, Alexander something. But all his business interest into like ShotSpotter and all this other technology bullshit that Minneapolis was headed towards or was about to get. And the drones, which really shook me, for one, the way that they were selling it, because, if we use this, we'll be able to catch the suspects, or we'll be able to do this, we'll be able to do that. But what people aren't understanding, it also gives them the authority to sit there and record our video over properties that do not need to be involved in certain situations. It's like an eye in the sky. And that's what people don't understand. Yeah, it's all fine and dandy till the shit happens and your rights are infringed on. your privacy, because when does that ever when does that matter? Or it doesn't it? Because I'll tell you right now, if people haven't seen, go on to Lockhart Media. In Milwaukee, Wisconsin, they literally have a restaurant that is all AI. It's all robots. Same thing out in California. And people don't think that's coming. Because I can tell you right now, ain't no McDonald's, ain't no Burger King, ain't no White Castle, ain't no Popeyes, ain't none of them going to want to pay $20 an hour. None of them. Ain't no company out here that's fast food that you don't have to have some type of education or training. They are going to want to pay $20 an hour. None. They barely want to pay $15 as it is. And I'm not going to McDonald's to get a $20 value meal, a Big Mac, fry, and a drink. I'm not. I'm damn near paying $15 as it is now to get one of them damn things. It's crazy.
Yeah, there was a story I read about a Big Mac meal or like a burger meal from McDonald's being $18.
Shit's wild, dog. Ain't even a dollar menu no more.
No, and they said that McDonald's said that they are going to, because they're taking a hit from supporting Israel and people are boycotting them, their solution is to provide discounts in the manner of their app. So it's not like they're not decreasing their price. They're just offering you coupons. Like, what the fuck?
Mm-hmm. But we fall for that shit because we think we're getting a deal.
Exactly. And, you know, the pandemic set the new precedence of, okay, well, this is temporary. No, it's permanent. Y'all might think it's temporary, but it's permanent.
Right.
Or anything, you know, all that came with that.
Right. Because that's the one thing that I noticed when you go out to eat now and you look at the receipt. There's a lot of taxes that are on there now that did not used to be on there.
That part.
And a lot of it, they'll be like, oh, it's from COVID. It's that we don't want to do it, but it's from COVID. And be like, well, COVID, I'm not saying that it's over with, but the restrictions are over with.
Right.
So why are we still paying taxes and all types of shit when we already pay that shit? Yeah, see, Minnesota already back in the news this morning, man. And that's the one thing that frustrates me because, like, the good committees, I'm at work for, so I can't really get to watch them and listen. I got to wait till I get home because I really want to watch them live and be able to listen. But yesterday during the committee hearing for public safety, you know, they were talking about SRO officers, school resource officers, which is a hot button topic right now. I don't even know what to say anymore about it, to be honest. You know, I do agree with, you know, it should be written because certain school districts don't need school resource officers. Certain communities don't need them. So why should they have them there? Because all it is just making it a nuisance, right? Because they should be doing other things. And I do agree with what some of these individuals said, these young kids said yesterday that testified in this committee was that is, how is it okay that you guys, our legislators are written, you know, to do certain prone restraints for adults, but you guys are writing it where it's okay to do it to kids. And I agree with them. How is it that it's not okay to do that to, you know, you guys got rid of that type of restraint because of George Floyd, but then do it to our kids? That doesn't make any sense to me. So there is some parts of that bill that is confusing. There is some parts of that bill that is hypocritical, I feel, and is a slap in the face, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
So there is more to the fucking story, man, and that's what, you know, Republicans are pinpointing certain things, which I respect. law enforcement is pinpointing certain things. And then you have the Democrats that are pinpointing certain things. And it's like, let's all just sit down and be adults and let's talk about it, because at the end of the day, it's our kids suffering. When we can't, we're acting like our high schoolers right now. That's how I feel like the legislators are acting. And you can literally tell by the way that they say yay, nay, or the way that they talk to their colleagues, or when they're debating or discussing, talking points, it really gets to a degree of childish. And that's what bugs me, because how are we supposed to get anywhere if we can't have thoughtful discourse or thoughtful discussions? Because that's the only way we're going to get somewhere. Everybody's got a different perspective. Everybody has a different opinion. And what's great? I want to give a shout out to News Totter. It is News, NEWSTOTER. I got my Twitter up, so let me get over here because I want to give a shout out. They had a great space last night. And I was at work and I was like, wow, they were talking about some very, very great things last night. And they talk about history. And I like the fact that we have, and this is what I'll be wanting you to do, bro, like on some real shit, because I think you'd be so good at this am I showing the screen? Okay. Yep. So let me get it full. I wanted you guys to go follow this News Totter. Please go follow them. They are great content. But I want to get to the space they had last night, and let's see here. I won't play it or anything, but let's see if that no. Okay, I could really put down I could because 300. Then my bad. Oh shit. Whoops. Bing. Hello. Is it me you're looking for? I can see it in your eyes. Well, it's Valentine's Day. Okay, here it is. So last night, the space was called Migrants with Debit Cards, the $5 million Tuskegee Experiment Scholarships Awardment, because they did settle. And I do agree with a lot that was said last night. It was a great space, very informational, very informative, and not just misleading either. Really got down to the facts, especially when it came down to talking about the migrants with the debit cards and the services that they're receiving. Mm-hmm. And I have to really look at that shit, and I think about that, because why are they writing legislation? And don't get me wrong, because people are like, damn, he really hateful. It's not about being hateful. It's about making sure that we're taking care of our backyards first before we're taking care of others, right? It's about, not saying to be selfish, but right now we should really be selfless and focus on because that's kind of sounding kind of hypocritical right there when you say selfless, because of that I'm sounding kind of, but I'm not saying leave anybody out. I'm saying we need to start taking care of our own before we start. That's why we're in debt, America is, because we take care of, I don't know. Nope. I'm not even going down that rabbit hole. Let me stop it. Let me stop it. But we need to start taking care of our backyards, right? Because we're given all this, we're writing legislation where I look at New York City, where I look at Chicago, where I even look at Minnesota, where they're literally writing legislation for people that are coming over here. And I understand that they need help, but we have people out here that are homeless, and not by choice. And y'all won't even give them the time of day. You won't give them the time of day. And you say you're out here for all Minnesotans. I hate to say it, but right now, the legislation that you're writing for the Office of New Americans, they're not Minnesotans yet. Not saying that we shouldn't care about them, but let's care about people that were born in Minnesota hospitals. Let's care about the people that are actually Minnesotans right now, that are begging for help. You know, I did something yesterday, and I called the school district, and I won't say which one it is. I'm just going to say that it's in Olmsted County. And I asked them if I could, where could I find their current demographics, and had it changed since the school year started? The lady said, she gave me the website, so I went on there. And the part that shocked me was that it's current, the year is current, but not their new enrollees. And it kind of shocked me of how an area that small had a certain population go up, Latino. And I had to really think about that. Because it is a lot of kids, which I assumed that's what a lot of, the population is going to be. If we're going to really see it and start noticing it, that's where we're going to start noticing it first, is our public education. And I think that's where we're fully starting to see it, because if you do, and even the Minnesota Department of Education has came out and said this, is that within the last 90 days, a certain population of new enrollment has gone up of people that didn't live here. And it's not just Latinos, so that's why I'm just not saying a certain type, because there's certain people that, because I see a lot of, when I look at Eagle Pass, Texas, the live feeds that are going out there, or the media reports, I don't just see it being, Latinos. There is Asians, I see Africans, I see Ukrainians, Russians. I see all different types of rainbow. So I don't just see it as Latinos coming across. It's a whole flock of people, because just this year already, we've almost had 1 million people come across our border already this year in 2024. So, and how are we? Because right now they'll tell us they don't have enough housing for everybody. But yet, if we're 38 days into the new year, and I think it's actually more than that, but we're allowing all of these people, or actually probably about 40 days, allowing more people to come over here, and we can't even, but we supposedly we don't have housing for everybody. So what are we supposed to do with the ones that we can't help? That's what I want to know, because you guys sound very contradicting to me, because you say we don't have enough housing. So where are we going to put them at? If we don't have enough housing for every American right now, we got to build all this new infrastructure.
Bro, great point. That is the point of the year, for real, because nobody has ever brought that up and contextualized it the way that you just did. Like, that's very important for people to understand, no matter what side of the fence you're on or what it is that you're fighting for personally. It doesn't matter realistically, because we all know that there is enough empty homes to house every houseless person in our nation already, but they won't do that. But they're going to give these people coming here housing, but y'all say y'all don't have it for these people that already don't have housing. So that doesn't make any sense. The math ain't mathing.
And it doesn't. And that's the whole crazy thing, because, and then they push this whole thing of affordable housing, but then they don't even want to explain area median income, and how they go off of how one part of, a certain side of the tracks doesn't make that kind of money, but yet it gets.
They're not even explaining what affordable housing is in general.
Right.
So people just think that affordable housing and poor are synonymous. They're not the same thing.
Right.
Poor is less poor than affordable housing. You know what I mean?
No.
Low income, affordable housing, those are different things too. And they use these words and people just associate a certain idea with the word, not really knowing what the word actually means. And they get away with this shit every day.
Every fucking day. Because they'll literally, it's crazy because I was watching part of the housing committee the other day. I think it was, their first meeting was Monday. And they're talking about how they need to build more homeless shelters. So you do see different monies and legislation. Oh, I got something in my throat. You literally see legislation about them for homeless shelters. Then it's like, why you want to build more homeless shelters and that act? That's just another band-aid. You know, this is the one thing that really shocked me, because I'm actually in the process of writing a story about this, because I'm going to call it bullshit, right? Because you know how we were reporting on camp, how Aaron reports on Camp Neoski in Minneapolis and the homeless encampments.
Right.
So there's this organization they're not nonprofit, they're a for-profit group that did $1 million contract to house 98 homeless people, right, that were living in the encampments. But here's the thing with that $1 million, all they got was housing. They didn't get any services. It was just housing.
That's crazy.
Right? So it makes me wonder, how are you helping them if you're just giving them housing but not any services?
Right.
And it makes me wonder how many other encampments are still out there, because you will only help a certain amount.
That part.
You didn't help everybody. You only helped.
Right.
Right, for $1 million. That for a
one
group
big
that
band-aid,
was for profit.
an expensive band-aid at that.
Right. And how long does that $1 million last?
Right.
That's the one thing that there's no saying there. It doesn't say how long that housing lasts. Is it only good for a couple months? You know, because what are we getting for that $1 million? Because honestly, it should just be theirs at this point for a cool milli. You break that down between 98 participants.
Right.
That's more shit. That's another buy all 98 in them a house. And then for that profit, that group to have money left over.
Right, right.
Shit. You literally they sell houses right now on what is that, Amazon, little houses for $19,000.
Very cheap. Yep.
You
can
know
get it
what I'm
from
saying?
Walmart. Walmart
Right.
delivers it too. Yep.
You literally, if you spent $25,000, right, on 100 people, that's 250 grand.
Right.
You mean to tell me y'all couldn't spend $500,000 at the house for people for free? Because here's the thing of it is, you literally would buy them tiny houses, right? 25, 30 grand, right? That gives you that, you spend about 250, 300 grand, right? For 100 people. But here's the kicker. All you would have to do is buy some land, and that's theirs. So you throw an extra 150, 200 grand in there. So you say you spend about 600 grand out of that $1 million to buy land and to put up little houses for a community, right? That would be like a trailer park or, you know, a RV type of home, whatever, you know, just a little community. We'll call it a gated community, right?
I was just about to go there because honestly, like you want to make sure that they feel safe. And because they're tiny houses, they don't necessarily provide much. I think that like security or like a security guard or like some kind of camera system, something that made people feel safe in their own way would also help. But the point I'm making is even that wouldn't cost that much. All of what we're saying here would definitely be well under $1 million for more people than what they did with that project. Again, the math ain't mathing.
No, and here's the crazy thing of it is, when I talk about this village and when I talk about this community, you have all the resources right there, because here's the thing of it is, this is what people don't realize, right?
You could literally have a house that where the community doctor lived, or the community teacher, the community therapist. You would have the community farmer, the community butcher. Everything would be right there in your community. You wouldn't have to really need to go outside of your community for anything, and you could literally do that for under $1 million. I honestly feel you could do that for 100 families under $1 million bucks. And I stand on that, with having a grocery store, a gas station, because it would keep all of that money right then and there. I know you have, Robert, and this is something that me and you have talked about. This is something that me and you have talked about and don't understand why they won't do it. But then when you look at the legislation and the policies that we have in place, they don't want things like this. Because if people even knew what an ADU was, an additional dwelling unit, which people could put on either their garage, or they could put in their backyards, you know, and that's another way that you could end this homeless crisis, this housing crisis that we have. But yet they think that, oh, not in my backyard.
Yep.
It all comes down to zoning. And that's what people don't understand. You got to look at your zoning ordinances, and because I'll tell you right now, if you people looked at them, you'd find a whole shitload of wrongness in there and be like, why do y'all do this? It just forces people out.
Yep.
Even developers, it forces them out.
Oh, it puts developers in a very precarious situation, and it just sucks. It's also what feeds that 5/1 gentrification architecture that we see all over the place, because no one wants to step outside because they can't.
No. And but again, we elect these people in the office who
enact these policies.
Right. And the VTAWs, the Mayor Frays, so many others that I could really say. But there was a name that they brought up in that video, Alicia Smith, who goes now, who's married, Alicia Crudup, I think her name is now, her married name is. And she did resign because she doesn't live in the Minneapolis area anymore. She moved. But I thought it was just weird because they were really starting to dig into her or her neighborhood organization. And then all of a sudden you see her resigning from everything and just moving. I thought that was really, really peculiar, because the foundation, the organization that she actually used to lead, isn't that far from George Floyd Square. And they did receive a lot. That organization, neighborhood organization, received a lot of money from the city to do various things. And you would think that that area would be a little bit more prosperous than what it actually is. The same thing with over north is. And I need people to pay attention to this, because Camo J even stated this, that, you know, Minneapolis was going to see an influx of money because of the consent decree. But if Minneapolis is going to receive all this money over north, why is it that one of the most historic areas of North Minneapolis is about to be gentrified? Why is it about to be replaced by the L train? Why is it, you know what I'm saying? So them type of things aren't being talked about. And if you don't believe me, go look at Georgia Ford's website. She has a story about it. These are all things. So they make it look good on one side, but then on the other side, in all honesty, it's shitty, because it's going to fuck up our community. They're going to tell you that crime is going to go down, but what they're not going to tell you is how much it's going to be now more accessible. That's the one thing they don't want to tell you. They make it look all fine and dandy, right? Because I'll tell you right now, Brooklyn Center residents, or Maple Grove, the homeless, the poor people don't have a way to get to you yet. But when this train goes in, they will. And they got it faster too. Because I remember just even in Minneapolis, trying to get out to the Mall of America on the bus, it was about 2 hours. You know, it'd stop everywhere. You'd have to go. But now, you know, the train is like 20 minutes from downtown Minneapolis to get to the Mall of America. So they've made it quick.
It used to take 2 hours. Like when?
What?
When did
Like
it
it's like I'm talking about like the 90s, maybe not 2 hours. Maybe that's being a little bit extra. But shit, if you used to go from over north to the Mall of America and all the different stops and different connecting you had to do to get out to the mall, yeah, it wasn't easy and accessible like it is now. It used to be a rough because you had to stop here to get on a connecting bus. You'd have to wait there, and if you missed that bus, shit, because you had everywhere only went so far, and then there wasn't a bus that goes from downtown Minneapolis, America, like it does now. You had to take other connecting buses. It ain't like how they have one that goes all the way out there. Hell no. That's why I say it would take a while to get out there.
Got you. Damn.
Yeah, I told you, bro. Right. I'm not lying. This shit. Right. The city used to be, our bus system used to be fucked up in Minneapolis, and how you used to have to be able to take our shit. Even at certain points, if you missed that bus, and let's say you had to get back to Minneapolis, and you missed a certain line that, let's say, stopped at like 9 or 10 o'clock, and you missed that last bus, you wasn't getting another bus till tomorrow morning. So you had to figure it out. It's so much has totally changed. And I know I've dragged this episode on. And I'm gonna let John Tail get some final thoughts off, and then I'll get my final thoughts off, and we'll let people go enjoy their happy hump day.
For me, I guess my final thoughts to bring this episode full circle is just do some research. Go on YouTube actually and look up like the racist origins and the postcards and stuff that we were talking about earlier in the episode for this day. But it doesn't mean that you can't still express your love, your admiration, and your respect and compassion for one another. That's something you should be doing every day. And so if you have love and compassion for your fellow human race, also consider thinking about the 1.5 million people that are locked up in a space the size of West and Southwest Philly right now and are being besieged, bombarded, and bombed. Pray for these people, the people of Gaza. And I'll leave it with that. I hope everyone has a wonderful day, and make sure that you feel the love today, y'all. Have a blessed one.
So I will be sharing, they do have a whole series that I showed you parts of today when we were talking about targeting justice. Unicorn Riot has it. Also PBS or TPT, PBS, whatever you want to call them, also has a series called Jim Crow of the North. And both parts, I feel like Unicorn Riots goes more in depth and with the players involved, and PBS is more about the history. So that's why I think both documentaries need to be viewed, because you'll get a both in-depth look at history, but also the players and corporations that are involved in the history, because that's why we have some of this legislation and the things that we have over time. And it's not just going back 10, 15 years. These are things that have been years and years and years in the making. And that's what I want people to understand, because we didn't fully feel the effects of the 1994 Crime Bill Act to just not too long ago, like 10 years ago, when we started seeing the full effect of it and how honestly, I think a lot of people knew how harmful it was going to be, but just ignored it. Because I see a lot of, when you look at the 1994 Crime Bill Act and you see, the consent decrees that's in there and what we're dealing with now, and then you see why we're dealing with what we deal with, because there's no metrics. There's no, what does success look like? What does failure look like? But if you throw more money at it, I will solve it someday. So that's for me. I want people to see, and it's the same way here. You know, they will criminalize, demonize a certain type of people, all because of our skin color, and people beg to look at us that way. They prefer to down on us instead of just seeing it for what it really is. And we need to understand that the system uses us to their advantage. And with that being said, I hope everybody has a great Wednesday. Again, it's Black History Month. Go do something great today. It's also Valentine's Day. Love your loved one every day. Just don't do it today. So win or fail, freedom or jail, heaven or hell, wish me well. Y'all have a great one.
Urban conservative.